I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw, I didn't want to put him down early. You all know I was handcuffed. I don't want to say anything that I will be regretting in the future. But all I can say now is the first 20 seconds was enough for me to end Jake Paul.
I don't know if enough has been made of the fact that, I mean, it was absolutely devastating. But the fact that he had awareness immediately to go like he looked at the crowd like, oh, shit. Like, wow.
He goes,
it wasn't like,
cracked.
yeah.
I think he went into that fight knowing that was probably going to happen.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the big win for him would be that he was even willing to do it and that he could do well for a little bit.
For a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually just deal with the fact that Anthony Joshua is going to connect with a bomb.
Yeah.
And breaks his jaw in 2 places.
Yeah.
Jake has spirit. He has some heart. He tried his best. And I take my hat off to him because, number one, a lot of fighters haven't got in the ring with me, and Jake did. And secondly, even when he got knocked down, he kept on trying to get up. And I take my hat off.
Step back and really look at this fight. Something feels off to a lot of people. That's where the conspiracy thinking starts. Not because of one big moment, but because the whole thing doesn't feel normal at first. Glance.
Are you telling me that Netflix probably emphasized, listen guys, take this as long as you can?
Yeah. So the bottom line is you take nothing from this. It was an entertainment product designed to get Netflix
But last week you said it wasn't scripted.
I think that ultimately Anthony Joshua's approach to it was what I said at the beginning. What I said was...
Now you're telling us Netflix passed on a message, guys.
I'm saying that Netflix's modus operandi is to operate with this kind of principle, which is stretch the entertainment. Anthony Joshua goes in. I frame the question to these boys that have been in the ring. Could he go in there on an under-aroused mindset because he knows what he's dealing with? No. He goes in as a killer. He went in there with a mindset, knowing what he was dealing with, and took his time and had no reason to do anything other than get him out of there.
Start noticing small details, like Jake sticking his tongue out in the Tyson fight, then doing it again here. That's when fans start asking questions. Is it just a habit, or is it a signal from there? Rumors grow that maybe the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight was meant to follow some kind of...
People will criticize you for going 6 rounds with Jake Paul. How do you feel about that?
I deserve it.
Why? Come on.
Because, like, we're elite fighters. Like, so I put myself in the shoes of a coach. If I was coaching Anthony Joshua and he went 6 rounds with Jake Paul, I would get him back in the gym tomorrow, give him a bit of a beating, and we're getting straight back to work because I'll be like, how are you letting this kid take you 6 rounds? Are you crazy? But I can't go back in time.
To be fair, people point to Netflix and say this makes sense. Netflix doesn't do short stories. They build long narratives, slow tension, dramatic moments, and cliffhangers. The theory is that Netflix wanted rounds, drama, and build-up, not a quick one-punch ending.
At the ring with the cornerman, slipped out of the ring and he thought, wow, this is for real. And even a little jab that just gently missed him, you could see him thinking, what is this about? So it was a case of survival. And to me, I didn't want Anthony Joshua to knock him out, if I'm honest with you. I thought, you've got to make this kid have a reality check. And that's what he actually did, because Jake Paul himself said, I was shattered. You know, this guy, everything I thought I could do, I couldn't do. Boxing looks so easy on the TV. Boxing looks so, matter of fact, no big deal. Until you get punched, and then reality kicks in. And Jake Paul, he has done a brilliant job of promoting himself.
That idea may have worked before because, honestly, the Tyson fight felt controlled. But Joshua is a different person with a different mindset. AJ doesn't care about streaming numbers or storylines. He shows up, does the job, and leaves. If there was ever a script, it felt like Joshua ignored it. The moment he stopped pacing and started throwing real punches, everything ended fast. No build-up, no finale. Just one hard right hand, and the fight was over.
After party, I have to be honest, the vibes are way more chill than I thought. He's doing great. How are you feeling?
Never been better.
Yeah, he's absolutely crushing it.
Bring out the vodka.
Yeah, we're doing great in here. Lights, a double break in his lower jaw.
Oh, you can show.
Here, look.
Science.
So science is right there and there. The way I see it, well, you'll be back in a couple weeks getting ready to fight Canelo.
I'm on Canelo in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So Canelo, get ready. We're coming.
And that's the funniest part. If this fight was meant to be scripted, boxing clearly didn't get the message. Heavyweights don't rehearse. One guy tried to play a role, the other brought real power. Once the bell rings, plans disappear, and boxing decides its own ending.
Knocked out by Anthony Joshua this past Friday night. And so I want to break this down from a medical perspective. I'm a neurosurgeon with over 25 years of experience. And so, what happens is when you get hit in the head with that kind of force, like in boxing, Our brain actually moves inside our skull, and it can bump into the skull, which is a firm structure, and cause bruising of the brain, even bleeding, but it causes repeated trauma to the brain. And over years and years of this happening, people can get what's called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE syndrome. And it's almost like a disease, because with repeated trauma to the brain, and that can lead to memory problems, mood swings, even trouble with movements, and eventually people can develop dementia, like Alzheimer's disease and even Parkinson's.
All the talk about scripts, signals, and Netflix theories. Eddie Hearn steps in sounding like the most realistic person in the room. He basically tells everyone to relax. AJ wasn't chasing a viral moment. He was boxing like an experienced professional. Hearn admits they expected Joshua to finish it sooner, but says the extra rounds weren't part of any conspiracy. They were just experience, and AJ stayed calm through them.
To get him out of there, he was just like, okay, this is how it's going to be. I'll just cut him off eventually. I'll beat him up and I'll break him down. What he said he would do is he would break him down and he would, well, finish him in boxing. And he's probably done both of those. I mean, he definitely did the first part. But the injury is a shocker, and it's not one that you can necessarily bounce back from. Like, I know that at the moment it's like, yeah, but especially when you're not, well, you've got lots of other stuff in your life as well, you know. So, but I think Jake Paul deserves a huge amount of respect because he did it in the first place. And he landed some shots.
What stands out is how fair Eddie is about Jake. He doesn't hype him for clicks. He just tells the truth. Jake moved, survived, and landed a couple of clean shots. But when people claim Jake had AJ hurt, Eddie laughs it off. Not in a mean way, just honestly. AJ wasn't wobbling. He was adjusting. Eddie sums it up perfectly by saying this wasn't bravery versus fear. It was survival versus reality.
1 round's MVP would have gone, look! Yeah, but yeah, so I don't believe he won any rounds on the scorecards, but listen, maybe he did, I don't know. But he definitely didn't wobble AJ, but he did land. He landed his biggest shots. Yeah. With a couple of, you know, like right hands from the gods, but he's just not big enough. He doesn't punch hard enough to you know, I'm sure it got his attention, but he certainly wasn't wobbled. But he did really well. And by the way, people moaning, like I think it was Sergio Mora. Who, listen, I love Sergio, but he's like, he's a disgrace. Like he ran. It's like, mate, what? Yeah. Like he also held his feet and threw. He didn't not throw any punches. You know?
Eddie even jokes about looking smug, which is funny because people aren't mad that AJ won. They're mad it didn't end quickly enough. Eddie wraps it up simply. Jake earned respect for stepping, and AJ earned respect for staying patient. And the internet earned another week of arguing over rounds nobody truly dominated. That's boxing in 2025.
Like, I give Jake I've said in every interview, full respect to Jake Paul. And you know, I think what he done was admirable. So I would like to apologise to Mrs. Paul. I didn't intentionally look smug. I couldn't have been smug because it didn't play out like I thought it was going to play out. I thought we were just going to flatline him in a couple of rounds. So there's nothing to be smug about, but we won. And
then Antonio Tarver steps in like a veteran who has seen this story before. He isn't disrespecting Jake, but he isn't hyping him either. Tarver gives Jake credit for surviving, moving, thinking, and landing a few clean shots. But he makes it clear that surviving is not the same thing as winning.
So, you know, even though he wasn't as effective as he probably wanted to be, and I knew there was a distance between experience, and that's just what we saw tonight.
How long do you think it would take for Jake Paul to spend in a boxing gym to overcome that experience that he didn't have tonight? How long would he need to train?
I don't know. He probably got to still keep picking his opponents, getting better, stay in the gym. But like I said, bro, when I looked at tonight, AJ was a huge fight. But if they want to really shoot a movie, bro, it's Antonio Tarver and Jake Paul, and I know the whole world.
Tarver says you can't run forever. It hits hard because that's boxing truth. You can buy time, but eventually experience takes over. He also makes it clear that this wasn't some extreme training camp for Joshua. It was a professional doing his job against someone trying to avoid danger. Tarver points out that once Jake started hunting for one big right hand instead of building strategy, the ceiling was always there. Now drop your thoughts in the comments. Break it down, debate it respectfully. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.